and your children here. This is amazing. Amazing. Whenever I come to this Songwa ceremony as Dr. Young Nation, this is really grateful. We thank you to true parents. Thank you, each one of you. We are not just alone. We have a big family. I really appreciate many your sons and daughters and grandsons and daughters here with the other leaderships. This is a miracle maker. So without her effort, dedication, we could come impossible like this way. So I think her children here and daughter-in-laws here, this is amazing. And thank you, Mrs. Park, your life for the sake of true parents and for the sake of each one of us. And once again, thank you, true parents. You created this Songwa ceremony. When true mother and true father mention about the Songwa, but when we come together, we more realized how important this Songwa ceremony. So once again, Mrs. Park, thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Dr. Keum. Thank you so much. Yeah. We're gonna next. We're gonna do a biography reading by Sancha Ogden. But I just want you, and it's in your program. But when I read this, there's so much more. There's so much more. I was speaking to Young, just in 2 minutes, he just shared so many things that were not in here, and I just know that there's books to be written about her life for sure. Let us, Ms. Ogden, if you can please.
All right. The victorious life of Mrs. Keum Soon Park. Keum Soon Park ascended to the spirit world to join her husband, Chung-gu Tiger Park, on October 22nd, 2022. She passed away peacefully in her sleep. Mrs. Park, born on February 12, 1938, joined the church while in high school in South Korea. She took part in the 36 couples blessing. Soon after her blessing, she and her husband went to the countryside, raised money, and built a school for the underprivileged. She wrote calligraphy to support the raising of funds to build the school. She took great pride in her calligraphy skills and often shared how True Father once complimented her work. In 1977, Mrs. Park and her family immigrated to the United States to California. There, she was a devout member of the church community and supported her husband in CARP activities. In 1982, her husband passed away, and since then, she raised her 9 children on her own. She was always grateful to True Parents for their support at that time. True Parents commended her for her devotion and prayer at the time of Danbury and for her incredible faith and an exemplary prayerful life. She set a condition by doing years of morning fasting and hours of prayer per day for the Providence, family, faith, and the True family. Mrs. Park loved fishing and was proud about how she caught the biggest fish in a fishing challenge in Paraguay when she was there. She also loved telling the story of how she broke a record when she caught a 47-inch striped bass in the Hudson River. She took tremendous pride in being the wife of Reverend Tiger Park and the 9 children they brought into the world. Mrs. Park is survived by her 7 sons, 2 daughters, 24 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren.
Thank you for that reading. And next, we're going to watch a tribute, a visual tribute of some of the things in her life. There's supposed to be music, but it's she looks so dramatic as a child. Amazing, absolutely amazing. Beautiful, beautiful. Next, we're going to have some testimonies in loving memory of Mrs. Keum Soon Park. First, we'll hear from Mrs. Keum Hee Fontaine, and then Sunjin Wyatt. I don't know if the third person is here, but please.
안녕하십니까. Good evening, everyone, brother and sister. I'm very honored to speak about Mrs. Park. She, Reverend Yang, and Bishop Kim, they talk about Mrs. Park. She is a great woman. I really respect her because at one point she raised 9 children, everybody blessing family. What can you say? She alone, 42 years old, husband passed away, she raised 9 children. Incredible. She's a really amazing woman. We often talk about her, we talked together. 사모님, how did you raise your children? Everyone blessing couple. My dream is my children having blessing. So I asked her. She said, pray. I asked my husband, take care of my children. My children. I think she really pray for garden children, hang in the garden children. Take care of my children. I will follow you. She all life she's carrying like that. Also, she's a small woman. She's not big, but she has a big heart. She whatever she has some money, she always give it to us. Do something, and she has some extra money. She always give it to us. And yeah, she has such a big heart. You know, I really, really respect her, and I love her. And she loves true parents and true children more than anything else. She never one word talk about the true children. Never, never. She loves so much. Well, she doesn't talk so much, but she loves true parents and true children. I'm so glad today 신녀님 and 신지님 came. 감사합니다. Anyway, I'm sure she's suffering so much, but she never said one word. I have a difficult time. She never said. She's so much proud of your children. My son did this. My daughter did this. She always talk about her son. She really proud of your son, their children. She love you so much. Do your parents' work. You know that what you mean. I don't have to explain to you. She love you. She always talk about. Oh, my son sent me money to this one. My son sent me this. She always talk about the son and children, and then also their children. I think they love parents so much because when I hear your mom, oh, my son did this. My son did this. She always talk about her son. Yeah, they love you so much. And then sometime after COVID, she couldn't come church. Then before she come church, she always think about the Sunday donation. Because donation, I have to come church. Yeah, she always think about donation. Yeah, you know, I will respect her. You know, she doesn't look at the email, whatever. Sometimes she come to church and church is closed. Then she put in the donation box. Maybe somebody, if you know church, maybe just laugh, right? She always do donation. Yeah, every week because she come for donation, come to church. Yeah, I think she love God and true parents and true children. That's why she can take care of the children and she can live. Actually, she want a very long life. Oh, Keum, I want to live 120 years, like that. Then, and her daughter-in-law said, "Oh, then how long I have to live like that?" Then later, suddenly she said, "I want to live 100 years." She then when she was in the bed, because she was a very healthy woman, she has a little diabetes, but she really take care. She doesn't eat medicine. She food just a little bit eat. You know, people you cannot take care of food. When you say food, you just eat, right? She doesn't. She just eat a little bit. So she doesn't take medicine. Then she fall down. You know, on the home stair, 2 stairs. She skip. Then she hit the back. Yeah, that's why she stayed 7 months. Then one day she said, "Oh, maybe I want to live 90 years old." Like that. Oh, 사모님, then you have to walk. You have to walk. Then later she said, 뭐 이렇게 있다가 가는 거지. She said like that. I think she felt, oh, I cannot live alone. So at that moment, I feel so sorry. Yeah, and then anyway, the second son, Jin Hyung, really take care of mom. 7 months. Yeah, when you think about the 7 months, it's a long time. But Jin Hyung and second son and daughter-in-law really, truly love, take care. You know, because she cannot move. She cannot move even one step. So in the bed, the son take care, you know, bowel movement, yawning, toothbrush, and brush teeth, everything. So amazing. I said, oh, you're an amazing guy. You're huge a Philip son. I told him like that. Then he said, I should carry my mom. He knows her mom is suffering, sacrificing. You know, he said, I should carry my mom. This is nothing, he said. So I really respect his son and daughter-in-law. So I think Mrs. Park, I think peacefully passed away. Because I saw her, people passed away 2 days ago, I saw her. And she said, 이렇게 often you're coming, thank you, 고마워요, like that. Then about her speaking word wasn't so clear, so I felt also she's breathing very fast. Maybe she cannot live a long time. I feel like that. Then 2 days later, her daughter called me morning time. 언니, 어머니 돌아가셨어요. She went to 6:30. Her mom's passed away. So I think she know how much her son and daughter-in-law take care of, you know, so she live very peaceful way. Then I also, you know, I really respect the 36 couple. Without 36 couple, children, God, parents cannot walk. So our ancestor, our, you know, 36 couple, I really, my deep, my bottom of my heart, I really respect them. 감사합니다. And one more I want to say that yesterday, last night at 12 o'clock, I heard somebody text me, please do testimony. Oh my goodness, what should I say? And I was thinking. Then one passing away, I think not my mind, but I think Mrs. Bak told me, Kumishi, please tell my children, when you go to hometown, please go to not every Sunday, but once in a while, please join the church. Without church, we cannot do anything.
Thank you. Mrs. Willett, please, if you can share. Wyatt, sorry, Wyatt.
Hi everyone, how are you? Kumi has a very good, heart. She very close with Mrs. Pa. Sometimes she prepare her, favorite food to serve Mrs. Pa. So one time I asked to her, how come you do that? It's an unbelievable woman, actually. Mrs. Kumi Fontaine. Last night I heard Reverend Clark, text me to ask to testimony about Mrs. Park. So, oh my God, I don't have that much experience like Kumi Fontaine. So, in the night, 1 o'clock, I just wrote, just a short story with Mrs. Park to Korean and then wrote, English. In the morning, I asked my husband, "Can you fix some sentence?" Then I wrote this one, because I don't have a public speaking, so I have to read. I'm sorry. My English is very poor, but do my best. I'm going to read. I'm very honored here to testimony, Mrs. Park. I'm deeply sorry to Mrs. Park's family. I know they will truly miss their mother, grandmother, and great grandmother. Hope Mrs. Park can safely arrive in spirit world next to true father, next to her husband. Mrs. Park was a very humble person. You'd never know she was a 36 blessed couple. She always wore humble clothes, but her heart was very big, especially toward God and the true parents. The Belvedere Church didn't have any other elder Korean blessed couple, so she was lonely. But still, she came to church faithfully. One Sunday, she sat next to me and asked me what the pastor was saying. It was then I realized she didn't speak English well, even to understand the sermon clearly. So from that on, I would just save her seat for her next to me. And even though my English poor, I would try to my best to translate the sermon for her. One day, someone came to me and said, Mrs. Park fell down pavement outside the train center. I hurried to go out to help her and found her covered in the dirt and leaped from the boost. I was very shocked. Cleaned her up and brought her inside to sit with me. I urged her to be careful and to maybe think about using cane, but she didn't want to use a cane. Mr. Bar still came to church faithfully every Sunday until church service was stopped due to the COVID-19. In 1981, while I was working for KEA in Washington, D.C., I met Mrs. Park's husband, Tiger Park. At the time, he was the CAP leader in America. The KEA members joined with the CAP members for rally outside the White House. At the time, I thought he was a very strong leader and a good health. But several months later, I heard that he passed away. I was very shocked and sad. He always took care of the CAP members instead of his own health. He only focused on his mission. I heard the true father was very sad that Tiger Park died at such a young age. His age 43, something like that. Father had high hopes for him and where he could accomplish the great things for God's providence. Mrs. Park was left by herself to raise 9 children. Because of her faith of God and the true parents, she accomplished her mission for over 40 years. One day, I asked to Mrs. Park how she survived all this time without a husband, without her husband. She told me that she fasted for breakfast for over 30 years. And she strongly prayed to God and the true parents to help her raise her 9 children to live a life according to God's will. Since we became friends at church, I started to visit her on Korean Thanksgiving and New Year's Day. I was very surprised about her humble living situation. Our Mrs. Park. When I go to the Belvedere Sunday service, even though she won't be come to Belvedere anymore, I'm going to continue to save her seat next to me. I want to give my deepest respect to Mrs. Park for her unbelievably strong faith in God and the true parents, and for her life that was well lived. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Wyatt. It's beautiful. And thank you, Mrs. Fontaine, as well. Thank you so much. We're going to ask Raul Joseph. I think it's time for a beautiful song, a tribute, and then just thank you. Let's welcome Raul Joseph.
Mrs. Park, I remember I used to live in the New Yorker, and every time you go down to the shop, you would never leave that shop just with the things you bought. She would always be putting something in your hand, and she'd make sure you leave with it. She'd say, "No, no, take it," and she would look for the best things, just anything. She would look for something really nice and put it in your hand, and she would hold it. It was so beautiful. So the song I'd like to dedicate to her is called Ave Maria. And this song the translation is, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. So the fruit of Mrs. Park's womb is right here, these blessed, beautiful children and grandchildren. Ave Maria. 감사합니다.
Can you feel the angels? And I think Ms. Park is very, very, very happy with that beautiful song. We're coming to our main portion of our memorial, Sungwon Memorial, and this is going to be the memorial address. Dr. Chung Shik-yong, Regional President of North America, has truly devoted himself to America, loving America, and investing in America. And if you haven't heard his morning devotion, it's very profound. And we welcome anyone to listen in the morning because it is life-giving to so many members. And without further ado, let us welcome our current Continental President, Chung Yong.
안녕하세요. Dear brothers and sisters, friends and family, today it is my honor to give the official address at the National Seonghwa Memorial Service for Mrs. Keum Park, our beloved elder sister. My deepest condolences to Mrs. Park's children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. What an incredible clan Mrs. Park has built with her late husband, Jonggu Tiger Park. When I look at all of you sitting here today, I can feel God and true parents' love showering over you. Whenever I hear of any of our brothers and sisters who passed to the spiritual world, and especially when I prepare speech as a Songhwa memorial address, I turn to pray deeply for the person. I do not know Mrs. Park so well. She and her family left for America soon after I joined the movement in Korea. So I wanted to get to know her more through the beautiful testimonies and the photos and the stories told by Tiger Park of their early days. Just now I Keum Keum 권사님, her testimony is so beautiful. I cannot understand more how beautiful life of faith. Just by looking at those early photos, my heart swelled from admiration. I could feel Mrs. Park's devotion and her beautiful spirit of faith shining through her photos. I could also sense the depths of love in her husband and for her. You know, brothers and sisters, we can't take this for granted. But when I see their couple and family photos, I can feel in my heart how much love and admiration they shared for each other. This is a truly, truly wonderful legacy for generation of blessed couples, those of Mrs. Own lineage, and also of those who come to know our elders later on. As one of the first 36 blessed couples, and we know Mrs. Park's course was incredibly difficult. Just now we heard from the testimony. These are the people who were closest to true parents in the early years of our movement and had to endure with them unmeasurable hardships and difficulties. When I was young, when I read about his book, one of the book, I forgot the title, but I was so moved. And then at the time I determined I want to be like that kind of guy in the future. Actually, he was one of my model guy. I'm really, really grateful to Tiger Park. I just now, Dr. Young mentioned where there is a great man and there's a woman, and a great woman as well. With the blessed couples and members who joined later, the first generation and second generation and so forth, or that of immense gratitude for such sacrifice, perseverance, and devotion. Without the example of the 36 couples, we could not have stood in front of true parents, and we could not have built such a worldwide movement. That's why whenever I think about any 36 couple without any reason, we need to really respect them. Without them, we could not create such a beautiful foundation so far. When I read Mrs. Park's story in the early days of their marriage and their mission as told by her late husband, I was so emotional. Her dedication to the education of Korea's young people is so profound. She was selling baked goods during the day and writing calligraphy at the night to support her family as well as the school they were managing. Their commitment to their students was so great that they were selling their blood, oh my goodness, and pawning their wedding attire to support college tuition for some students. Have you ever heard of such committed educators? He is one of the great educators. I'm really proud of him. We have such a kind of senior brother. We really need to learn from him. This is a really amazing guy. Truly, when I read this, my heart is drawn to Mrs. Park and her deep love for her husband, her family, and for the students they were raising. We had real saints living among us, had we not? When the Parks came to America, and they again dedicated their lives for God and our movement, and then gave all their energy to support the Parents' Providence and expand the COP USA. When I learned how proud Mrs. Park was of her husband, I felt how much love and appreciation she had for him and for their mission. We all know that only a few years after coming to America, Tiger Park had passed to the spiritual world. It's been 40 years since then. And all this time, Mrs. Park continued to raise her family, to support her children's education, and give them to love of both father and mother. How hard it must have been for her. For me, just only 3 children. For them to receiving blessing. Hi, this is not simple matter. How come she take the 9 children? It is really amazing lady. I really, I'd like to really respect from bottom of my heart. But her unwavering faith and her determination never swayed. When things were hard, she kept praying for true parents, for the providence for America and for her family. This is truly a remarkable example of absolute faith, absolute love, absolute obedience to the will of God. More than anything, I was moved to tears learning about the depths of her Jeongseong condition. How many years just now she talking about the 30 years morning fasting? I am telling you my own story since I became the missionary. I did 10 years morning fasting condition. I am telling you, it is really incredibly difficult. And how come she doing 30 years morning fasting? She is a champion of Jeongseong. Oh my God. Mrs. Park was acknowledged by true parents for her exemplary prayerful life. Her prayers, her gratitude, and her utmost devotion moved heavenly parents and true parents. I embrace this transition as a natural progression toward our eternal life. You know that our true Father, one of the most beautiful, his inner slogan is, utmost sincerity moves heaven. Because of her dedication, we call it Jeongseong. Her Jeongseong moves heaven. Really great exemplary. Really, she is a really good mother's figure and good wife's figure. Was a really great senior woman to us. True Father told us that the Songhwa ceremony actually comparable to a wedding when men and women get married. It is not sorrowful occasion at all. It's like an insect coming out of its cocoon, getting rid of a shackle and becoming a new body and new existence, a new entity. That's exactly the same kind of the process in our way of life and tradition. Spirit world and physical world are one. And by our living up to that kind of idea, we bring the two worlds together into one. So today, as we say our goodbyes from America, we are conscious that this is about a physical separation. We know we will meet again in the spiritual realm soon or later. And this is our opportunity to honor Mrs. Park and congratulate her for the victories she takes with her, the fruit of her love, and your love for her that she is bringing with her to the spiritual world. For the physical and spiritual world to unite together, We need to deeply understand what true parents are teaching us. As Mrs. Park begins her new life, her eternal life in the realm of God's infinite love. And as we usher our transition, let us remember what true fathers were about eternal life. Something mixed something. Okay. Sorry about that. I want to but read this one. There need to be content change. When we celebrate such a life as Mrs. Parks, we can honestly state that she lived a victorious life. And so today, we here to send Mrs. Park to Spirit World in wonderful celebration. Of course, her official Songwa ceremony will be conducted in Korea in a few days. But we wanted to offer her this national memorial service from America to honor and celebrate her life and thank her for devotion and through this also inherit this beautiful spirit. My brothers and sisters, as we look back on Mrs. Park's life together, we cry, we laugh, but most of all, we love. We want to send her to the spiritual world and with all our love and our respect and all our admiration. Even such an advanced age as Mrs. Park, and even though we know she lived a full, successful life, and saw her children grow, her grandchildren, even some great-grandchildren, there might be a sense of sadness this celebration. But as we learn from true parents, the moment we enter the spiritual world is really our new birth, a new beginning. And just as a baby and each mother's womb cannot grasp how grand our earthly world is, we here on earth cannot truly grasp how vast and magnificent life is the spiritual world. True parents told us that rather than approach this moment with trepidation, we should embrace this transition as a natural progression toward our eternal life. And Father's word also something here that eternal life does not refer only to an eternal existence in spiritual world. It means living for eternity in the bosom of God's love. God created each individual to live with Him in a relationship of lover and beloved subject partner and object partner. You are beloved of God. God cherishes the idol of true love more than He values Himself. Although God is absolute and eternal center of life, His ideal is even more eternal, and the center of that ideal is true love. Love realized with a partner, and the partner of God's love is you. Our beloved sister, Mrs. Keum Park, we congratulate you on your victorious life honors. Your family and our entire American movement are praying for you and offering you our love, our respect, and gratitude. We truly, truly, truly love you and will remain with you in our hearts forever. God bless Mrs. Park and the entire Park family and clan, and God bless all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that beautiful message. And I think you came to know her really well through your message and through your study and preparation. So next, we'd like to, we have these flowers, and we'd like to do a flower offering, which is, they're like gifts. And, we've heard that she's given so much to, whenever we could, she give to us. And so this little flower represents something back, something beautiful, something natural, something pure, giving it back to her. So we'd like to with the family and just grab a flower and place it on the little altar there, and then just go maybe back this way and come around, and then we'll just please follow, and then we'll do the same from this side with our leaders, our elders. Please bring it from this side as well after maybe the family. please. Yeah. Dr. Young, maybe you could. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, please bow, and then as you go forward, and then bow when you finish. Yeah. That's good. Yeah. Yeah. Both sides can now begin to go. Just do one side, and then just go up the middle on the. Please, the next rows on both sides, you can actually both come up at the same time. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, so that side will use those flowers, and this side can use these flowers, and we can just. Yeah, please, the next row on this side. The other side, the other side of the room can come and do on the side. Yeah. Okay, we're just about finished. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Park, for everything you've given to us. Please enjoy these flowers. Next, we actually saved the best for last. We've heard probably most about the children. So I'm not sure who is going to speak. 3 speakers. Okay, so 3 of the family are going to speak. So without further ado, let us welcome Jin Huan.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you, Dr. Yang, Dr. Kim, and all the brothers and sisters that are here. I am the fourth son of my mother and my father. And not many people know me because I always hid somewhere in different locations around the world. So I spent the last 10 years talking to my mother every day almost. And I'll try to explain who my mother was. I know. And everybody knows her as Mrs. Tiger Park. And, I cannot say too much about my father because, he died when I was young. And I'll tell you why my mother is so victorious. And that is actually a proper title for her. I would like to tell you a story of my mother that will exemplify who she was. I think that's the best way, instead of just telling you who she was. So, as you know, my mother is what I call a master fisherwoman. Everybody who is an elder leader in the church knows about who she is because she beats everybody. And that's not funny. She doesn't even know how to fish, and she can beat everybody. So I'll tell you the story of, 20 years ago in April. And there was the striped bass fishing tournament. Right? We have it here. And, true parents were here. Everybody was here. All the leaders were here because it was like a big tournament. And so, my mother would go out maybe a few times, right? And, she doesn't really know how to fish. And, when you catch striped bass, you have to get this blood warm and and you're not supposed to get anybody's help. You're supposed to do it yourself. And it actually moves, it's actually bloody, and it actually bites. So my mother would go out, a couple of times, and she would want to catch a fish. And, but one night, because my mother is very, very spiritually open person. One night, she had a dream. Hung Jin Nim would come to her and said to her, "You will catch the biggest fish ever." That's absolutely true. But she said, Hung Jin Nim said, "But don't tell anybody." And so my mother went to East Garden. I think it was Sunday service in East Garden. And, the service finished. And after the service, they would go fish, by buses, right? Dr. Young remembers. And, she fished quite a few times before. And so, some of the elders would say, "No, it's not, you cannot go on the bus anymore." But my mother, I don't think so. She would get on the bus and would not move an inch. And they would ask her to move, and she just stare straight, say, she ain't moving. Right? And so she goes there in the boat to one of her famous favorite captain, and sits quietly. And everybody likes their favorite spots on fishing, and they fish. And my mother just goes, she doesn't really know how to fish, actually. And so, they were fishing all day, and they moved around a few times here and there. And there was like maybe 10 minutes left. And so the captain told them, everybody reel in your rod, we got to go. not my mother. She knows that Hung-Jin said you will catch. And she just kept her rod there. And of course, that rod went down. She thought it was the ground, like the rock, right? And she started pulling in the fish. And, she was 60, almost 70 years old at the time. And she kept pulling in the fish. And then other like Japanese younger members would say, oh, we can help you. And she said, no, this is my fish, right? That is actually her character, right? And so she reeled in the fish. I think she said it took almost like 30 minutes. It was that big of a fish. And we have that fish, in East Garden at the museum. It's gigantic, right? And 47 inch, and it's like 60 pounds. It's like gigantic. I saw the fish, right? And so they brought in the fish. And it's interesting. My mother said the hook was not in the mouth. Interesting, right? The hook was right here on the forehead. That's impossible. I've never caught a fish like that in my whole life. Right? I don't think the fish didn't want to eat the bait. It just got caught in the head. Right? So she brought in the fish. And of course, true parents were there. And they're like, oh, bring the fish. And then she has a nice picture that she puts on her wall of her picture with true parents. That's one of her most prized picture that she has. And it's a good story to exemplify who my mother is. She has this absolute faith. Absolute faith. And first and foremost, her absolute faith was for the church. And true parents first, and the true children second. And then maybe the members, and actually we're last, always. Right? So it exemplifies her determination and faith that no matter, even though you might be the worst at fishing and worst at, she absolutely believes she will do it. And that is her personality, actually. That's how she could survive having 9 kids with like only a little food to eat. Back in Korea, like everybody got a stipend. If you had 1 kid or 9 kids, you got the same stipend. And so she had to feed all the kids with the same amount of money. And she can only do that because she had that absolute faith and belief, no matter what the circumstance was. And she lived her whole life that way. So, my other siblings would talk about her personality, but my mother has this absolute belief that is unwavering. And to survive in, any kind of life situations, any kind of hardships, you have to believe, right? And so I credit, because I'm a doctor, and I say this to all my patients, they might be the end stage of their death. And I said, you have to believe without a doubt that you will survive, right? I use that all the time. That comes from my mother's words that she speaks to me, right? So with that, I wanted you to understand who my mother is in that sense. So I would like to thank all of you for coming, and I would like to other siblings to talk.
Thank you, Jim. So, is that Mosuk? Yeah, okay, Mosuk. Let's hear from Mosuk Park.
She has more than just sons. She has 2 of us, my sister and myself. So I want to tell you 3 stories that she used to love to tell. And I'll say it's about, oh, I love to tell the 3 of them. So I'll share it with you. I want to end with her favorite song that I will botch. So one of the stories she would love to tell to people when I was growing up is that when she was pregnant with me, she was 43 years old. So this is the biggest gap between my siblings is actually between me and the youngest of my brothers, Jinchul. So she got pregnant with me, and then my dad said, "I think you should get an abortion because your life is in danger, and the child's life, well, she might have some issues," and I do. Okay, but so my dad was like, "Get a boy, come on, celebrate her life, right?" So she makes an appointment. She makes an appointment to be an obedient wife. And then the night of the abortion, the night before the abortion, she has a dream. It's very spiritual, of course. And her dream was this little baby girl in a white dress covered with strawberries. And in the word in Korean, 딸기 is strawberry and 딸 is daughter. So it's a dress covered with strawberries. And the baby is crying. And the baby is crying and says, "I don't want to die. I want to live." And said, "I know you don't want to do this. I know you don't want to do this." So then she couldn't go through with it. Well, clearly. But then, like another 3 or 4 weeks later, my dad was very genuinely concerned. So she books another appointment, and she has the same dream. And just that stubbornness that got her on that van and got her to catch that 47-inch fish, because my dad was still on her case to get an abortion, she told True Father. She said, "True Father, my husband wants me to get an abortion." And True Father turned to my dad and said, "This is a story at least." She's like, "Stop it. Let her have her," something like, "She's going to have this child." And he's like, okay, you win. The second story I love to tell about my mom is when I was 12, some of you here might remember this. I didn't ask my mom for much because we didn't have a lot. But one day I'm like, I want to have a birthday party. I was turning 12. And I was like, I'll bring 10 people at the most. And this was after Sunday school. She was like, "Sure." Sunday school is about to end. And then I get a call, like someone calls Belvedere. And they're like, "Mo, one of your sister-in-laws is calling." I'm like, "What?" So I think it was Sungsugani. My sister-in-law who's here, she calls and is like, "Mo, how many people are you bringing?" I'm like, 12. She's like, "She cooked for like 100. So then I go in front of Sunday school and I'm like, "All right, everyone's invited." So then everyone came over to my house, whoever was there, and I got the most random gifts ever. They were like keychains and like things that people just re-gifted. But it was one of actually, it's one of the traits that I have like my mom. She didn't know, she loved to give. She didn't know the boundaries of that gift. But the third story is developing at this moment as I sit here, which is I would often be told, a lot of you know that I was very involved in the church for a long time. And people would often say to me, "You're a lot like your father." And I'm like, "Why me? I have 7 older brothers. Why'd you skip 7 of them?" Yes, that's a jab at them. That's my birthright. I'm the youngest child, right? But I realized today that maybe, just maybe, I'm actually a lot more like her. And I want to embrace that. I didn't want to admit that to her apparently when she was alive. But I think her stubbornness and her faith. And I think, those times when I might have been a little bit angry that she loved the church or the, True Family more than her children, maybe it was through loving True Family and her dedication and her faith that she loved us. So I want to end with a song. It was her favorite song. I don't remember the words, so I'm going to do my best. And I wasn't going to say anything, so family, help me out. Dujopa, you know this song, okay? 미스는도 알아요, okay? I'm gonna 전 실패할 거예요. 같이 불러주세요. 뒷동산 에핀 꽃은 인비 무궁화. Hold on, I want to gather myself for her. 개울 앞에 핀 꽃은 도라 무궁화. 피고 so I'm gonna botch it. 또 피고 수르러운 날이 금숙한 산산철이 아름답구나.
Thank you, Moshe. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. Thank you so much. I think our final speaker will be Jinsa Park. So let's welcome Jinsa.
I'm not gonna sing. I told them I wasn't gonna do this. I'm just gonna tell you 3 things that I'm gonna miss. Growing up, I still remember. He keeps on reminding me because, I'm so good looking. No girlfriend. No bad thoughts, or you will go to hell. I still don't have bad thoughts. But it wasn't just one day. It was every day. She believed in that I might sway because of my good looks. So she kept on pushing it and pushing it. And then I got, blessed with Yanshim, and I only have bad thoughts about it. But the second thing, after I got married and blessed, she kept on reminding me these 3 things. Be happy. Be positive. Be positive. And don't worry. Yeah. Sorry. And what I miss most about her, because she's always serious. She's always been serious in her life. So my only goal in my life was to make her laugh. And the main thing, I will always try to joke with her because I wanted to see her laugh. Her laugh looked like that. She goes, and I will miss that so much. Oma, Apa Joa.
Wow. Thank you, Jinsa. Amazing. Amazing family. Each one are so unique and so profound, and I'm sure each one has amazing stories. But thank you. I think we're coming to a close. We're gonna ask our president of the Family Federation for World Peace and Unification USA, Naokemi Ushiro, to offer the benediction. And then we'll have 3 cheers of Okmansei from Milhan Stevens. He has a number of titles, as many people does, but I think the national president of YSP is probably our main claim to fame.
All right. Yeah, thank you everyone for being here, and thanks for the sharing some of the stories. Again, I didn't get to really know her, but through the stories, her life, it's really very real. Yeah, I just want to confirm though, one time I was in New Yorker, and I remember as a teenager, I went down to the shop, and the one experience I had with her was, she was like, "Are you second generation?" It was this random lady asking me if I'm second generation. So I just nodded my head, and she just gave me whatever was around there, trinket, put it in my hand, and just like, just take it. So definitely feel her love that she gave to everyone. Let's bow our heads in prayer. Dearest Heavenly Parent, our beloved true parents, we're gathered here to really honor the life of Ms. Park, for her dedication and unwavering faith to support you, our true parents, and your will here on this earth. Heavenly Parent, we're so grateful to have this chance to remember her life, her legacy, and to come together as a broader family to share these stories and to really remember all the things that she did, and especially her love, her dedication, and her desire to constantly give to those around her. We really thank you for the family that she left behind, for their hearts, their legacy that will continue to live on through them. And as we conclude this memorial service, we really want to pray that you can be with her on her journey, resting place, that she may join her husband and true father, and really continue to watch over each of her children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and all the members that she cared for. So thank you again for just having this time as a community to come together. And I'd like to offer this prayer really as the representative, president of the Family Federation, and also as a member in my name, Naokemi and Shukuko Shiroda, Essential Family.
Thank you, Hyunim. And to the Park family, thank you so much for sharing your mother with us, and your family, which takes up half of the room here. And if you need anything at all, please go to Pastor Justin. He will take very good care of you, as he already demonstrated. He will help you move out of your homes and do whatever you need to make meals for you. Just go to Pastor Justin. I can testify he's an amazing pastor. So, and before we do the Ogmansei, I just want to remind about love. That is eternal. All these stories, all these experiences are that's the only thing that is real. So as we amass this, I mean, my God, how much love is in this room and her entire life. And I want you to take this love and convert it into rocket fuel for me. And we'll send her up straight to the highest place of heaven to meet her husband, who I'm sure she's waited long enough for that day. So if everyone please stand and join me in 4 cheers of Ogmansei.
경귀하신 하늘 부모님, 승리하신 천지의 참 부모님, 전해국 장관, for the victorious life of Mrs. Keum Soon Park. Thank you, brothers and sisters. There's dinner for everyone in the back, and for all the family and our elders, leaders over here, then they should go this way to the nursery over there. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. The Park family is amazing. Mrs. Park is incredible. So let us wish her farewell as she goes to Korea and as she has the Seonghwa ceremony in Korea. Thank you, everyone. God bless you. Yeah, the icing.